Hello everyone, this is Void, and joining me today is D-Cube. Today we're starting a brand new series of trolling on the Pokemon Showdown Battle Spot Doubles Ladder. And right now, D-Cube is going to tell us about this very interesting and innovative team he made.
Alright guys, so the focus of this team is going to be to set up Muck using the move Simple Beam from Audino. So our lead is going to be Whimsicott Audino, and Whimsicott is kind of here as a sacrificial Pokemon to use the move Memento, which is going to allow us to bring in Muck by sacrificing Whimsicott and also half the offensive stats of an opposing Pokemon. And then we're going to use Trick Room also on that turn. And once we have Muck in a Trick Room, we can use the move Simple Beam on our own Muck, which is going to double all stat increases. So we can start setting up with Stockpile, Minimize, and Power Up Punch. And then from there, we're going to have Sableye in the back, who can use the move Psych Up to copy all stat changes. And then our kind of end game goal here is to have Muck and Sableye sweeping with those huge stat boosts. And if for some reason our opponent has a way to beat the Whimsicott Audino lead, we have Pokemon like Kangaskhan and Tracheon in the back to sweep with Stomp, Power Up Punch, Rock Slide, and Swords Dance. So we'll try to get into a battle here.
Now, as we're looking for a battle, an important thing to keep in mind when facing down this team is that while this may look like a strategy that only works against weaker players, it can definitely catch stronger opponents unprepared if they don't have access to the right resources on their team. For example, one of the best resources to have against this team is the Taunt user, since it relies mostly on Muck setting up as a stat boost. And also an important resource to have would be a Pair Song user, because that makes all the Pokemon in the field faint in 3 turns, regardless of stat boost.
Alright, so no Taunt or Perish Song on this team it looks like, but one problem could be that Amoonguss, which can use the move Rage Powder to draw away our Simple Beam, so that will prevent Muck from getting those huge stat boosts. But Whimsicott carries the move Taunt, so as long as Amoonguss doesn't have a Mental Herb, we should be able to deal with that. So Whimsicott Audino looks pretty safe here with our standard 2 in the back.
So we do indeed see the Amoonguss coming out. It might be carrying Mental Herb, so we'll have to be cautious of that. It's actually threatening to Spore the Audino. Audino will go slower if it uses Trick Room, but
yeah, we can protect Taunt here, and if our opponent has a Mental Herb, even if he spores the Audino, Whimsicott can just be brought down to its sash from that Momile, and we'll get a Taunt off the next turn.
So this is a good turn for us. We're getting a Taunt up. Really unfortunate situation for our opponent. He can't really do anything with his Amoonguss.
Alright, so we can Memento that Mawile, and a problem we have here is if our opponent switches out Amoonguss here, and then he can just bring it back in Trick Room and spore that Muck. So keeping Whimsicott alive could be an option here. I don't know though. I think we still want to Memento that Mawile to just get rid of its offensive pressure on the Audino.
We could just switch Muck in right now.
Yeah.
And set up Trick Room, and then maybe switch Whimsicott and wait for Audino. But
the turn after that.
But I think Audino might need to Simple Beam on that turn, so I'm not sure. It's a tough call.
Well, we do have Sableye we have Mega Sableye, which can kind of completely counter that Amoonguss. So I think it's okay to sacrifice Whimsicott here to guarantee that we get the Trick Room up. And we'll guarantee to get the Simple Beam off, I think. Because if our opponent switches out Amoonguss here, next turn we'll just Simple Beam, so we'll definitely get the Simple Beam off before he can even bring Amoonguss in again.
Yeah.
And we have that Sableye to counter, so as long as we get the Simple Beam off on Muck, as soon as that Sableye comes in, we can just Mega Evolve Psych Up. Alright, our opponent doesn't even switch out Amoonguss, so I don't know, maybe he has Sludge Bomb. Yeah. That's still fine though, even though we get that poison. Actually, the sooner Audino goes down the better, because the sooner we can bring in Sableye and just start setting up Sableye as well. You kind of see with this team that as soon as Audino gets up that Trick Room and Simple Beam, it's kind of worthless. So it's okay if it gets poisoned, that kind of slowly dies.
Yeah. Normally it's not a good idea to Trick Room in the face of an Amoonguss. However, in this case, since it's taunted, we're going to be able to get the stat boosts we need. And we do see Amoonguss going out there, which is a good thing for us because it's just one more free turn to stat boost.
Alright, so we get the free minimize up. Alright, normally after you minimize, you want to start stockpiling because those defensive boosts are more important than maybe like barely increasing the chance of evading the attack. Because after you get +4 evasion, it's kind of not as much of a boost after that. So it's better to start getting into defense. And then we can just protect Audino here in case we need to heal pulse the next turn. Just keep Audino alive for that heal pulse option one more turn before we bring in Sableye and get those huge boosts we're going to have on Muck now.
Yeah, I think our opponent's only real threat here is maybe getting a Scald Burn on the Muck, which we will hope does not happen. Luckily it didn't. Scald ends up connecting even through the evasion.
Yeah, when you see this team lose, most of the time it's either to Perish Song or just unlucky burns from moves like Scald or Heatwave.
Yeah, and occasionally the opponent will have a Will-O-Wisp and hit the jackpot, so to speak, hitting a Will-O-Wisp through max evasion.
Alright, so we have the choice of minimizing here one more time or stockpiling. I think minimize might be better because the thing that's threatening us right now is that Scald, and stockpile obviously doesn't really help with that. It's just the burn we're afraid of. So I think we want to minimize one more time. And I mean, with Audino, we can simple beam one of the opponent's Pokemon. I don't think we need to do that though. I mean, unless it's like Iron Fist Conkeldurr.
We probably don't want to simple beam Milotic, just because maybe if like, do any of our moves have a chance of stat dropping?
No.
Okay. Some weird competitive activation maybe.
I mean, we might as well just protect with Audino and go for the
No, it would lose competitive limit. Okay. Wow.
Alright, well, we're fine. We don't care about Audino at this point.
Yeah. Audino's done its job, allowing Muck to set up. And
now we can just stockpile again, and I mean, I guess Heal Pulse is the best here. The best thing to do with Audino, because it's going to die from that poison anyway, so protecting again wouldn't do anything. I mean, if you think about it, our opponent's moves are only doing about 7% to Muck, so this Heal Pulse is going to let it take one more attack. Alright, a knockoff hit on Muck would be a little scary.
yeah. And now that you see this situation right here, you probably understand that you have to beat this strategy before Trick Room gets set up and Muck gets his simple boost, really. Because after he starts boosting his evasion, you have a smaller and smaller chance of hitting him, and as he sets up more stockpiles, it just does less and less damage. So you basically have to get a lucky critical hit that actually goes through the evasion, which is not a very good chance at all.
I think we might want to start punching here because our defense is already good enough in our evasion where we're not really scared of being hit by powerful attacks. But the only thing that's scaring us is that Milotic burn, so I think we want to kind of end this game as quickly as possible. So I think just immediately boosting to get that boost to Muck and Sableye is better. And I think I want to keep Sableye in regular form to try to draw the Spore later. There's no point in Mega Evolving right now because I think Scald still burns through Magic Bounce because it only like bounces back status moves. So Scald can still burn Mega Sableye. So I'm going to keep Sableye in regular form to kind of keep our opponent guessing, and hopefully we can draw the Spore later on and waste a turn for our opponent. So I'm just going to Psych up here in regular form.
Yeah, once we get all these stat boosts up, even though it's improbable that our opponent does get a Scald Burn or some other lucky break, it's just important to play to minimize the risk. And that's what we're doing right here, just trying to build up offensive pressure as quickly as possible.
Alright, we can start Will-O-Wisping that Milotic for some more passive damage. I think we'll do that, and then Psych up to get all the attack next turn. So playing this team is pretty mechanical at this point. Our opponent actually stops going for Scald, which is kind of a weird decision on his part. I think the only real way he can win at this point is just to get a burn right now. And a burn on Sableye doesn't even really matter because we have Recover, which can heal a lot more than Burn's damage is going to be doing. So I guess we'll punch one more time to get that final boost, and then we'll Psych up this attack now. So this is where the trolling aspect comes in. Our opponent is kind of powerless at this point. Not much they can do at all, but just watch them slowly die to a Muck.
Yeah, I've used a similar strategy to this with Contrary Shuckle and Shell Smash, but it can be a lot riskier because it involves baton passing the evasion to the Shuckle. But in this case, really a lot of things don't need to go right for this to get set up. It can happen fairly typically, as we've seen in this game. And having a psych-up user in the back is just really an incredible asset because even if one of these two stat boosted Pokemon does indeed go down, you always have that backup line to seal the game for you.
Yeah, we may feature that Shuckle team on a future episode of Let's Troll Showdown, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, it's very risky and it doesn't work a lot of the time, but obviously it's very fun when it works.
Alright, now we get to review our trick of Mega Sableye. Hopefully draw that Spore. Alright, he actually hits the double Rock Slide. And he spores the Muck and hits that also. And we flinch!
Well, the stars aligned on that turn.
The chance of that turn was pretty small.
However, I don't think realistically our opponent has many chances because once we wake up, we're going to get a lot of damage onto his Pokemon. And really, he's not going to.
He doesn't even know about Magic Bounce, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And you see how much damage that does. You don't think of Sableye and Muk as being like offensive Pokemon, but after that +6, that knockoff is just doing huge damage to Amoonguss, which is typically a bulky Pokemon.
Yeah. So that's really an unfortunate thing to when you're playing against this team. All the luck in the world really won't get you out of these situations sometimes. And like
you see, even like plays like that where our opponent predicts us and protects the Pokemon we double target, it still doesn't even matter because he's not in any better of a position than he was. This team is just really scary to play.
Yeah, it's kind of a disconcerting feeling when after 5 turns of the game, your best play leads to just losing horribly.
I don't know. It doesn't really matter what we do at this point. I just don't target him alone. There's quite literally no way we can lose this.
Maybe a play
rough hit on Sableye, yeah, that's why I double targeted it, because that Mawile is kind of scary for Sableye.
play rough critical hit.
I'm just gonna Will-O-Wisp that Mawile just in case it hits the play rough. Oh yeah, I forgot we don't have Prankster anymore.
Yeah.
My bad. Oh, are we gonna Will-O-Wisp this Conquer and give it the Guts boost?
Yeah. So now we well, actually,
Alright, and he just forfeits at that point.
if he had guts, like that makes him slightly more threatening. But really, I don't see a win condition. Since
yeah, I mean, you saw like Rock Slide was doing like 7% to both of us. So even with the Guts boost, it's not going to be doing anything at all. And we can just recover faster than he can do damage.
yeah, and the burn is just like a ticking time bomb for him losing. So a great first battle for the team, and really a shining example of what this team is meant to do. So we will see you in the next episode.